Coming up in today's episode.
So, after our disastrous day at the airport, we finally arrived in Da Nang, and then from there on we wanted to go to the Hoi An Bridge, which is the famous part of it, but there were absolutely no taxis available, so we had to start walking. So it took us about a 30 minutes walk, I think. We were a bit confused at one stage, but we finally got there, and it was beautiful. It seriously was beautiful. So this is the reason you basically come to Hoi An.
We're Quentin and DNA,
Two guys trying to visit 40 countries before we turn 40.
We're taking the world on by trying to explore different countries, cultures, food, and by being as adventurous as possible.
We decided to film all of this for our future selves to look back on for one day when we are older. So let's go on a Kiwi travel adventure. Hi future Quentin!
And hi future DNA.
And to all our friends and family watching, and today we are taking you to Vietnam, Hoi An! So after our disastrous day at the airport, we finally arrived in Da Nang, and then we took a taxi from there, about a 30 minutes taxi drive to our accommodation.
Welcome guys, this is apartment number 3. Please come in. This is the main bedroom, and then if you just walk this way, a beautiful view of everything. We'll be having our breakfast there in the morning. And over here is the bathroom. Storage space, fridge stacked with water, and then voila, waterfall shower with a beautiful view. Just follow me. Not such a beautiful view of the wall.
And then from there on we wanted to go to the Hoi An Bridge, which is the famous part of it, but there were absolutely no taxis available, so we had to start walking. So it took us about a 30 minutes walk, I think. We were a bit confused at one stage, but we finally got there, and it was beautiful. It seriously was beautiful. So this is the reason you basically come to Hoi An. It's just this picturesque, magical place with all of these boats and the lanterns everywhere. It is absolutely stunning. So this is literally what you go for, is the atmosphere of this whole place, because this is what it looks like at night. It is absolutely beautiful. We went for a quick dinner, which was also very interesting, especially Vietnamese part, and then from there on we quickly took some photos, obviously, of all the lanterns which you get everywhere, and everybody's just in this happy mood and atmosphere because all of the tourists come here in the evening. Most of them stay in Da Nang during the day, and then they just come here for a night visit trip, but we decided to stay. So obviously at night it is absolutely picturesque with all of these lanterns, and we also bought some of it for ourselves, but during the day it is a completely different story.
So the next day we initially planned to go to the Golden Bridge, but this was far away and it was extremely costly, so we decided, okay, let's just spend the day in Hoi An to try and see what the vibe is like throughout the day. So as we made it to the main hub, we passed one of the very first temples, Chinese temples that they had there, which was really incredibly beautiful to see. And we had breakfast thereafter, where we had egg coffee again, coconut coffee, spring rolls, and of course the white rose, which is a traditional dish from Hoi An, and it was just incredible. It was a wonderful breakfast and a start to the day. After that, we just continued exploring these beautifully yellow painted streets. All the buildings, all of them are this orangey yellow color, and it was just so wonderful that you are transported to this unique place, and the lanterns that's everywhere. So it was just so wonderful and peaceful going through all of these streets of Hoi An. We then discovered the very first Chinese temple that they have in Hoi An.
And then from there on we literally stumbled across this market where they sold like some of these souvenirs and so on, and then from there on it literally led into this fresh produce part, which Vianney was not impressed with at all because of all the smells. But that was quite interesting. From there on, we came out and we literally saw the river again with all of the boats, which was really beautiful to see. And then something cool happened. So this is what happens basically in Hoi An and the entire Vietnam. You see these ladies with their famous hats, together with obviously these things that they sell, with this thing that they carry with these things hanging off them.
A stick with 2 baskets.
A stick with 2 baskets with it hanging off there, and you see it everywhere. And I told Vian I would actually like to put that hat on and walk around with it like a typical tourist, and I got to do it, which I was very happy with, especially after the disaster with the Golden Gate and Golden Bridge that we couldn't get to. But yeah, that was really the moment where it lit up for me the whole day. So that was beautiful. And then we just walked across along the streets again, like Vianney said, with all of these yellow painted colors and so on, which was really tranquil, because during the day, like I said, there's not a lot of tourists like in at all. All of them are in Da Nang. None of them are here at night. The people only come at night. So yes, it was very, very hot. So we went to the Hoi An Bridge again just to go and grab a drink there, a Coke. And then from there on, we went to the famous Highlands, obviously coffee, which we started to love so much. Also had a quick bite there and a banh mi.
As we made our way back to the hotel, we wanted to see the famous and the main reason why everyone comes to Hoi An, the Japanese bridge, which was closed for renovation.
So it was very disappointing to see, because it's like one of the most famous things to do, because it's also on one of their notes as well, so we couldn't see it at all. So yeah, but it was hot again, so thereafter we got some ice cream first, the rolled ice cream, which was quite nice, and then we headed to our hotel for a quick dip because it was so hot. So this was really welcoming, so that was so lovely and refreshing.
After our cool down at our accommodation, we went back to the main hub, and this time we went a little bit early because they told us that the lights will go on at 6 and we wanted to see what happens at 6 o'clock. So we had this beautiful restaurant overlooking the bridge with the boats, with the beautiful lanterns on the opposite side of the main hub. So it was just so wonderful sitting there and experiencing these beautiful, beautiful elements of the people selling their different snacks, which I had a lot of. And then it was time for the lights to come on, and that was the time that we took our boat cruise. It was incredible. It was so wonderful being on the boat. It was wonderful getting ready to make our wishes and to set free our lanterns, and as the sun went down, all the boat's lights came up, and it was just a magical array of lights and just happy people. It really was magical and fairy tale like, so we really enjoyed that. After that,
the sun was also setting, which was so beautiful.
It really was
incredible. It was the most beautiful sunset I think I've ever seen.
It really was beautiful. After that, we just took a while. We got off the boat and we just took everything in, and we just watched everything again until the sun was completely down, and then we went on a street food tour, which was just amazing. And we ended it off with the best banh mi in Vietnam.
So yes, that banh mi was absolutely awesome. It was literally this lady on the side of the road. We were again sitting on those very small stools which you get throughout Vietnam, which brings me to the conclusion, actually, they don't really have bigger chairs. Where you get bigger chairs is where you will get bigger prices as well, basically, for tourists, because they know tourists want to sit on proper chairs. So yes, everything small chairs, everything is cheap. It really was absolutely awesome. I'm glad we did the middle part of Vietnam, which is Hoi An, and then obviously the northern part, which is Hanoi. I'm so glad we did that, because that's what people said is the most traditional part. Apparently the south, where Ho Chi Minh City is a lot more urban. So we are really glad that we did this and that we did it at the right time. But I think in general it was awesome. Their coffee is really amazing. I think there's a reason why they're second biggest export of coffee in the world. The coffee really is amazing. Highlands coffee, so glad we stumbled upon that. The food was really amazing. The banh mi's most particular. I didn't really like the other food, to be honest, in terms of the pho and so on, because everything is a very almost soup based, very water soup based. So if you like brothy kind of things, then that's definitely for you. But if you like more bread things, then definitely the banh mi's, which were absolutely awesome, but particularly the pork ones as well.
Yes, it really was an amazing experience. We went there at the perfect time because you can see it's gonna get packed soon. But it was just a wonderful experience, and it was really a beautiful surprise because we never wanted to go to Vietnam, and this experience just made Vietnam a delightful country and a place that we definitely would go to again in a few years' time, just to see what the scene is like there. And it was Highlands was the greatest highlight because it became the thing that we did there, and just the lanterns alone was really a beautiful part of the beautiful experience of Vietnam. We really enjoyed it. It really was super amazing.
And this is everything despite it being a heavy communist country, because believe me it is, there's certain things you can't do. So this brings us to the end of this part of Vietnam, but we were excited because we are going to our next country, which is in Laos, and we are going to Vientiane!
Next time on Kiwi Travel Adventures.
I must say it is a small country, number one. You don't get a lot of international kind of things. Even in Vientiane where we went, which is actually like the biggest out of the entire Laos, it's really not a big country, but that made everything so affordable. It really is incredibly cheap.